below. If you ever wondered which are the top 20 upcoming Hollywood movies 2017, here you've got the chance to find out. Welcome to WelneonTrends.com, the channel where you can find all the trending things. Movies, also known as films, are a type of visual communication which use moving pictures and sound to tell stories or inform, help people to learn. People in every part of the world watch movies as a type of entertainment, a way to have fun. For some people, fun movies can mean movies that make them laugh, while for others it can mean movies that make them cry, or feel afraid. We waited so long for the top 20 upcoming Hollywood movies 2017. Let's start the list, shall we? Number 20. Logan. Releasing date March 3, 2017. Hugh Jackman has played Wolverine for so long that it's nearly impossible to imagine anyone else in the role of the adamantium-clawed X-Men mutant. Soon, Fox will need to figure out who'll be the next actor to play the part, but first, Jackman's getting his swan song with a third standalone Wolverine feature. The film's plot draws from Marvel's Old Man Logan comic, about an alternate future version of the, nearly, ageless hero. The film will also feature the return of Patrick Stewart's Professor X, adding yet another layer of closure for longtime fans of the franchise. Number 19. War for the Planet of the Apes. Releasing date July 14, 2017. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes director Matt Reeves returns for this follow-up, which picks up from Dawn's final scene, a grim foreshadowing of the major conflict brewing between genetically enhanced primates and a human population decimated by a virus dubbed the simian flu. Andy Serkis is back as the Apes' leader, Caesar, whose journey from young chimp to noble warrior has formed the backbone for the franchise's overall arc. He's joined by Steve Zahn, as a new ape, and Woody Harrelson, as a character known as the Colonel, reportedly the film's chief antagonist. Reeves, who co-wrote the script, is keeping storyline details under wraps, but says the events depicted in War for the Planet of the Apes see Caesar achieving mythic status. Number 18. Alien, Covenant. Releasing date May 19, 2017. With 2012's Prometheus, Ridley Scott made his eagerly awaited return to the Alien franchise by way of a prequel that hinted at the long-ago beginnings of his blockbuster saga's story. Under the weight of decades worth of sequels, spin-offs, and expectations, the end result couldn't help but disappoint some viewers, and in spite of a $400 million gross and largely positive reviews, there's a sense of unfinished business hanging over the sequel. Fans who feel Prometheus didn't tie into the Alien films strongly enough might be better served by Alien, Covenant, which brings back Michael Fassbender and Noomi Rapace to show what happens after they hijack an ancient spacecraft in order to venture to the homeworld of the mysterious engineers and halt their plans for humanity. Number 17. World War Z 2. Releasing date June 9, 2017. For a movie that tried to spin an action thriller yarn out of a bestseller that used the oral history format to tell the story of a worldwide zombie outbreak, and had an infamously troubled production in the bargain, World War Z turned out to be a surprisingly entertaining, not to mention extremely commercially successful, film. Which brings us to the inevitable sequel, World War Z 2, in which Brad Pitt returns to battle the zombie plague. We don't know much about the plot at this point, but director Juan Antonio Bayona, The Orphanage, The Impossible, will be working from a screenplay by Stephen Knight, whose varied list of credits includes the chess drama Pawn Sacrifice and Bradley Cooper's Burnt. Number 16. John Wick, Chapter 2. Releasing date February 10, 2017. After everything he went through in the first movie, what could possibly convince John Wick to come out of retirement? Dog lovers will be relieved to hear it isn't the death of another pooch that gets his guns blazing in John Wick, Chapter 2. This time, one of John's old buddies is in the middle of a scheme to topple an assassin's guild and he needs backup. The circumstances are different, but the end results look pretty much the same. Tons of stylish violence with Keanu Reeves in the middle of it all, back in the role he might have been born to play. Number 15. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Releasing date May 5, 2017. Initially, it seemed like a hilariously dumb idea for Marvel to turn a relatively obscure comic about a ragtag team of intergalactic do-gooders, whose ranks include a raccoon-like creature and an alien resembling a sentient tree, into a $200 million movie. Nearly $775 million in box office receipts later, Guardians of the Galaxy could be the start of an Avengers-style franchise for the studio, and Chris Pratt, whose biggest credit prior to taking on the role of Peter Star-Lord Quill came as Doughy Doofus Andy Dwyer in NBC's Parks and Recreation, is a full-on action hero. The gang's all back for Volume 2, along with writer-director James Gunn, and while we don't have many details regarding what they'll be up to this time around, we're confident it'll be tons of fun. Number 14. Ghost in the Shell. Releasing date March 31, 2017. Rupert Sanders' adaptation of the popular Masamune Shirow manga series of the same name has been riddled with controversy over its whitewashed casting of Scarlett Johansson as the main heroine, the Mayor. But Johansson's box office track record is still nothing to discount, and Sanders and Johansson also received the in-person blessings of Mamoru Oshii, Kenji Jamiyama, and Kenji Kawai, who are each responsible for the original animated versions of the story. Assuming audiences can look past the controversy surrounding the racial inconsistencies from page to screen, Ghost in the Shell is expected to be a visual spectacular that chronicles an epic chase between a cyborg policewoman and a dangerous hacker with the same kind of gnarly effects and existential futurism that captivated audiences in films like The Matrix, Johansson's own turn in Lucy, and The Fifth Element. Number 13. Cars 3. Releasing date June 16, 2017. Reverend up your engines, kids, because Lightning McQueen, Owen Wilson, is back in high-speed action in Disney Pixar's Cars 3. The 3D animated adventure, which follows the events of 2006's Cars and 2011's Cars 2, will follow the famous red race car on his journey to catch up with a new generation of speedsters and feature the return of some fan favorites like Motter, Larry the Cable Guy, Sally Carrera, Bonnie Hunt, and Ramon, Cheech Marin, while adding fresh fuel to the cinematic tank by way of yellow car and race technician Cruz Ramirez and the rookie racer McQueen longs to defeat, Jackson Storm. Considering how well the first two films, and spin-offs Planes and Planes, Fire and Rescue, have done at the box office, this one's sure to be a hit with the summertime family crowd. Number 12. The Lego Batman Movie. Releasing date February 10, 2017. Not long ago, the idea of a movie based on Legos seemed too silly for words, but then the Lego movie racked up nearly $470 million while making us all root for plastic bricks, and play Everything is Awesome on endless repeat. Taking the hint, Warner Brothers is diving right in with a universe of Lego-derived films, starting with this spin-off, which brings back Will Arnett as Gotham's caped crusader. He's joined by an intriguing cast that includes his Arrested Development castmate Michael Cera as Robin, Zach Galifianakis as the Joker, and Mariah Carey as the Mayor, and with Lego Movie Animation co-director Chris McKay on board to helm the film from a script by Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter director Seth Grahame-Smith, we're sure plenty of inspired silliness awaits. Number 11. Power Rangers. Releasing date March 24, 2017. Go Power Rangers! Whether or not you've ever had a preference for the red, yellow, pink, blue, black, or even the occasionally seen green or white Rangers, those ninja steel-wielding high schoolers were loads of fun to watch, and dress up as, back in the day. The forthcoming Power Rangers isn't the first movie to capitalize on the Mighty Morphin 90s craze, of course. During the original family television series' popular run, the show's cast members teamed up for a big-screen adventure in the somewhat successful 1995 film Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, which was quickly followed up by 1997's Turbo, a Power Rangers movie and several spin-off series. However, director Dean Israelite's take on the story offers a much more serious and emotionally charged account of how these misfit teens managed to become a band of unlikely world saviors, battling back the forces of evil, namely, Rita Repulsa, Elizabeth Banks with the help of their sage mentor Zordon, Bryan Cranston. The film features young actors Docker Montgomery, R.J. Seiler, Naomi Scott, Becky G., Zach Taylor, and Billy Cranston as the superhero squad, and if the film does manage to renew even a smidgen of the Power Rangers frenzy that the series enjoyed in the 90s, it's going to be massive. Number 10. Resident Evil, The Final Chapter. Releasing day January 27, 2017. 5 years after Resident Evil, Retribution, Milla Jovovich returns to close out the sci-fi horror franchise she's led for more than a decade, and nearly $1 billion in worldwide grosses. Despite the long lapse between sequels, this sixth installment will reportedly pick up right where Retribution left off while following director Paul W.S. Anderson's mandate to come full circle with the saga of a dystopian future in which a corporate-created virus has unleashed a zombie plague. In other words, if you haven't been watching so far, this isn't the best place to come in, but if the Umbrella Corporation, Raccoon City, and T-Virus are meaningful phrases for you, then you may want to mark your calendar. Number 9. Star Wars, Episode 8. Releasing date December 15, 2017. This is Star Wars we're talking about, so the list of things we truly know about Episode 8 is awfully short. But we do know a couple of important facts. 1. Rian Johnson, Looper, will be in the director's chair, and 2. Most of Episode 7's cast will be back, including Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and Adam Driver, along with OG franchise stars Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. Beyond that, pretty much all we can tell you is that this installment follows the events of Episode 7, and advances the new trilogy pitting the Resistance against the First Order led by Supreme Leader Snoke, Andy Serkis, and his apprentice Kylo Ren, Adam Driver. Oh, and another thing, it'll sell tons of tickets. Number 8. Spider-Man, Homecoming. Releasing date July 7, 2017. Sony's hopes for a Spider-Man film universe were dealt an embarrassing setback after director Mark Webb's reboots underperformed. But even if we aren't getting a Sinister Six or Venom movie anytime soon, the core franchise remains a top priority at the studio, as evidenced by this new reboot, which will find Tom Holland starring as the web-slinger in a standalone film while doing double duty as a supporting player in a number of Marvel movies, starting with Captain America: Civil War. John Watts, who helmed the creepy low-budget Kevin Bacon thriller Cop Car, is on board as director for a storyline that features Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark playing mentor to young Spidey in his battle against the Vulture, Michael Keaton. Number 7. Justice League. Releasing date November 17, 2017. Marvel has done a brilliant job of laying out the template for a successful shared universe, and now Warner Bros. Is following in its rivals' footsteps with its DC Comics properties, which are due to get their first moments in the all-star superhero team spotlight with Justice League. Director Zack Snyder has already agreed to helm, and confirmed members of the cast include stars from the studio's pre-existing franchises, including Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Ben Affleck, as Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, respectively. While we don't yet have any idea what danger our team will face, we do know it'll be serious enough to attract the attention of Aquaman, Jason Momoa, and Cyborg, Ray Fisher. And with a sequel already scheduled for 2019, you can bet the battle won't end here. Number 6. Thor: Ragnarok. Releasing date November 3, 2017. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok is an apocalyptic series of events that results in the world being plunged into water after the deaths of several gods, including Odin, Thor, and Loki, and culminates in a planetary rebirth. Needless to say, it's obvious from the title that Thor, Ragnarok won't be a jolly good time for our hammer-wielding hero, Chris Hemsworth, although we can guess from his imminent participation in the upcoming Avengers: Infinity War movies that he'll emerge relatively unscathed after the final act. Whatever happens here, he'll be joined by Mark Ruffalo, reprising his Marvel Universe role as Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and working under the direction of New Zealand filmmaker Taika Waititi, who earned raves for his 2014 vampire mockumentary What We Do in the Shadows. Number 5. Transformers: The Last Night. Releasing date June 23, 2017. Every time Michael Bay thinks he's out of the Transformers franchise, they pull him back in with a fresh boatload of cash. Bay's been making noises about being done with Optimus Prime and his buddies for years, and was initially only on board to produce this installment in the series. But the executives at Paramount must have been pretty persuasive, because he's still in the director's seat for what he insists will be his final Transformers film. Aside from Mark Wahlberg being back as the saga's current human star, The Last Night looks like it'll plunge viewers into a time-traveling plot that includes King Arthur and an alternate history in which Nazis won World War II, plus plenty of action and lots of lead-ins to the assortment of spin-off films the studio's planning. Number 4. XXX, Return of Xander Cage. Releasing date January 19, 2017. XXX, Return of Xander Cage is an upcoming 2017 American action film directed by DJ Caruso, produced by Van Diesel, Joe Roth, Jeff Kirschenbaum, and Samantha Vincent, and written by F. Scott Fraser and Chat St. John. It stars Diesel, Donnie Yen, Deepika Padukone, Samuel L. Jackson, Tony Jay, Nina Dobrev, Ruby Rose, Rory McCann, Chris Wu, and Ariadna Gutierrez. It is intended to be the third film in the XXX franchise, and thereby a sequel to both the 2002 film XXX and the 2005 film XXX, State of the Union, though more directly with the first film. Unlike the previous films, which were distributed by Columbia Pictures, Return of Xander Cage will be released by Paramount Pictures on January 20, 2017, in 2D, REL 3D and IMAX 3D. This will also mark the first film produced by Revolution Studios in 9 years since 2007's The Water Horse, Legend of the Deep. Number 3. The Mummy 2017. Releasing date June 9, 2017. Alex Kurtzman and written by John Spates and Christopher McQuarrie. It is a reboot of the Mummy franchise and the first installment in the Universal Monsters shared universe. The film stars Tom Cruise, Sophia Boutella, Annabelle Wallis, Jake Johnson, Courtney B. Vance and Russell Crowe. The film is scheduled to be released on June 9, 2017. On April 4, 2012, Universal Studios announced that they are developing the reboot of the Mummy franchise, with John Spates to write the film and Sean Daniel, who produced the previous 3 films, returning as producer. On May 1, 2012, Universal signed on with Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman a 2-year deal to produce the reboot through their KO Paper Products banner. Number 2. The Fate of the Furious. Releasing date April 14, 2017. The Fate of the Furious franchise seemed a bit uncertain in the wake of star Paul Walker's sudden passing in 2013, which complicated production of 2015's Furious 7 and put the burden of additional expectations on his longtime co-star and friend, Van Diesel. But with nearly $4 billion in worldwide grosses, Universal wasn't about to garage its gearhead soap opera. So like clockwork, The gang will return for an 8th installment, and one that's already being set up as a callback to previous chapters as well as a springboard into a new trilogy that will reportedly see stories pivot away from the heist capers of recent sequels and into a spy saga spearheaded by Kurt Russell's Frank Petty character. According to the official synopsis, the new sequel, titled The Fate of the Furious, finds Dom Van Diesel lured back into the world of crime he can't seem to escape and a betrayal of those closest to him by a mysterious woman, Charlize Theron, setting up another worldwide adventure that sends our crew from the shores of Cuba and the streets of New York City to the icy plains off the Arctic Barents Sea. Listen carefully, and under the roar of the motors, you can already hear the box office cash registers ringing. Number 1. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Releasing date May 26, 2017. Pre-production on this 5th installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean saga started back when the previous sequel, 2011's On Stranger Tides, was on its way to theaters, and its path through development has been strewn with script difficulties and budget-induced delays. Still, any new chapter in a franchise that's grossed nearly $4 billion counts as a promising development for the studio, and Disney has stood by while producer Jerry Bruckheimer steered Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales to its destination. Directed by Joachim Ronning and Espen Sandberg, Kon-Tiki, this adventure sees Johnny Depp's Captain Jack Sparrow face off against an old nemesis played by Javier Bardem, and sees the return of Orlando Bloom's Will Turner in his new guise as Davy Jones. Thank you for watching Welneon Trends. We hope you like this. Please subscribe and like us for more videos. Please check the other videos of Welneon Trends for more.